Good morning, everybody. Nice to have you here. Temporary issues. We are pleased to have Jamie Martin with us today and talk about outreach and all the things that the church is doing. And actually, we have Shar and Louise with us too, who lead one of the outreach projects called Joshua Station. So they'll tell us a little about that today too. So good opportunity to talk about service in general and what you all are doing too, because we all do different things for different reasons. And so look forward to hearing some of their input too, as well as Jamie telling us what the church is doing. So we will do that. Announcements first as usual. Zoomers, please mute yourself in the lower left corner of your screen. They're both muted. And nice to have you here. We are recording this for future playback for those who aren't here and would like to hear it. And how about anything in the news? I was gone last week in Palm Springs, California. Vicki and I were visiting relatives, a reunion there, and went to the Joshua Tree National Park and saw those funny looking cactus. And so it was nice to get away. Actually, I stopped into the Methodist church there too, in Palm Springs, and kind of a building as big as ours, but a tiny little sanctuary. And I asked the pastor how many people they have. She said 200. So they have a congregation of 200. And I'm not sure if it's just a time because it's a small town, or maybe there's not many progressive Methodists there. Who knows? But it was kind of interesting. While I was driving by, I just pulled in and looked at it. Things in the news. What do you think about Ukraine? Is it going to hold on and resist occupation?
It has to hold on.
Have to hold on.
We have to support it.
They held on this long.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't it sad, the stories coming out of there, the pictures?
Heartbreaking.
It is. We're seeing so many more pictures of bodies in the streets than we did in the first couple of weeks of that. It's just amazing. Any other thoughts before we talk about or things you want to share? Easter next Sunday, no class. They aren't having any classes here because the service starts at 9:30.
Yes.
So yeah, yes, Lauren said, different time, different time. Everybody pay attention, 9:30. So we won't do it next Sunday. We'll meet again after that. Okay. All right, any other announcements? Anybody else been traveling? Want to share your experiences traveling? Okay. I want to share a couple things here before I introduce Jamie. Just some thoughts on service and a couple of scriptures too, just to kind of set the stage for us today too, on why we should do service. James 1:27. Religion that God our Father accepts as pure and faultless is this: to look after orphans and widows in their distress, and keep oneself from being polluted by the world. Polluted by the world. Matthew 5, give to the one who asks you. Do not turn away from the one who wants to borrow from you. Proverbs, whoever is kind to the poor lends to the Lord, and he will reward them. Matthew 5, in the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. That one I thought was kind of interesting. We may even want to talk about that because there's also the scripture that says, don't do your good deeds in public for the recognition of men. This one says, do it so that men can see it and give glory to your Father. So we've got contradicting scriptures there. Matthew 25, I love this one. They also will answer, Lord, when did we see you hungry or thirsty or a stranger or needing clothes or in prison and not help you? He said, truly I tell you, whatever you did not do for the least of these, you did not do for me. The commentary on this was, this verse is a wake-up call to remind us that God is in all places. Sometimes we get caught up on our own perceptions of where he is. We utterly miss him right in front of us, maybe as the beggar on the street corner. Luke 11, what should we do then? The crowd asked. John answered, anyone who has 2 shirts should share with the one who has none, and anyone who has food should do the same. You should remember that everything God blesses us with is meant to bless others. Important not to hoard and store up things for ourselves, but share with others in need. I love this quote by Gandhi. The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. Thessalonians, therefore, encourage one another and build up each other, just as in fact you are doing. Now, I've heard this applied to service. That's why we do service for people in need, actually to help them become independent, self-sustaining, build them up. Last couple, Jesus looked at him and said, one thing you lack, go sell everything you have and give to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven. We can discuss that. Did he really mean that literally? Sell every single thing that you have? Luke also, sell your possessions and give to the poor, provide purses for yourselves that will not wear out, for a treasure in heaven where no thief will destroy. And here's a compelling picture of a guy doing service. Just a couple years ago, I believe Jimmy Carter fell down and bruised himself and got right back into doing Habitat for Humanity. What an amazing guy he is. Okay, so I just wanted to throw those out there for thought and a few questions we might want to talk about. What are the ways to serve? Your time, your money, your talents. How do you pick where you serve? You can do it by your interest. When and how often do you serve? What's stopping you from serving? You want to try something new? And do you serve with others or by yourself? So, thoughts. Okay. Jamie has been with the church for how many years, Jamie?
16, almost 17 years. It'll be 17 years in June.
And mostly in youth?
Children's.
Children.
I worked in children's for half of those.
Half of those. Okay.
Yep. And then moved up to assist in outreach when the pandemic came, because we obviously weren't meeting in children's. And so my job became very small. I did childcare downstairs. I had a staff of about 12 that would, anything that's offered here at church, Sunday morning programming at the times, Evensong on Saturdays, book groups, they offer free childcare. And so I had a staff that would do that. And then I was the volunteer coordinator for the elementary side. So I wrote curriculum and found volunteers to lead our kids on Sunday mornings. Yeah. And then here I am.
And
Here I am. Yes.
How long have you been in outreach director position?
Oh, gosh, I think September of 2021, I was offered the director of outreach position. So I've been doing it for about a year, helping, assisting in outreach, and then, yeah.
Okay. Well, we wanted you just to share with us what the main projects are and where they're at and what we can do to help. By the way, I forgot my microphone. I usually have a little microphone here so we can project to the folks who are a little challenged with the hearing. So we're good at projecting our voice.
Yes. Okay, Steve wanted me to go through with some of the main organizations that we're diving in deep with. So I'll start, we've been talking about Joshua Station this morning, and it's actually the first one on my list. For those of you who don't know, Joshua Station is a nonprofit. It falls under Mile High Ministries, and it is a transitional housing for primarily single mothers and their children, getting them off the streets, getting them into safe housing. They receive services here, childcare, counseling, case management, all of those things that will give them, put them on the road to self-sufficiency. And it's a 2-year program. We did learn recently, it's not like they kick them out at 2 years, but they get them stable enough, and then usually the transition is to Section 8 housing. Where St. Andrew helps is we have a sprucer room team, and that is led by Shar and Louise. So we'll get a call that says, hey, we have a family that's been on the waiting list and we have space for them. And this is an old hotel building, yes, motel, off of around 8th and I-25. They come in, they paint, they buy furniture, they spruce the room, make it a home for this mom and her kids. We are on track to do about 6 a year. I think Shar and Louise have done 3. And previous to that, I had our MOPS group come in and do 1, and then my family has done 1. So we've done 5 so far. So that's where we serve at Joshua Station, as well as community dinners. One of the big things that they talk about at Joshua Station, or what they have found through research and just being with these families, is it's a breakdown of community, is, ultimately why they end up, in these types of situations. So they really push community dinners as well. That is somewhere where St. Andrew has served as well. They have Thursday community dinners. So groups come in, they cook, and they are in fellowship and community with these families. So we do that as well at Joshua Station.
And is domestic violence a reason sometimes for the?
So that's tricky. Sometimes that's why they're in the situations of being homeless. Yes. Primarily, though, I don't think that's what they see now.
Okay.
But that has been a case to where mom has left an abusive situation.
Yeah.
She's then gone to friends who have supported her for a little bit, and then that gets to be too much for the family she's staying with, and she doesn't have anywhere else to go.
This is great.
Yeah, it is. I really like Joshua Station. I'm pretty passionate about it. It's good stuff. And you get to meet the families, usually just in passing and stuff. But if you go to the community dinners, then you get to meet a lot of the moms and the kids there. So it's a great way to serve. Okay.
How do you get the referrals?
That
How
is-
do you get the referrals?
How does St. Andrew get?
How does Joshua Station or either one?
I'm not exactly sure how Joshua Station gets the referrals. Do you guys know in talking with Ben?
He doesn't say a whole lot, but he does, when we have talked to some of the moms, it's like, somebody gave me this phone number to call, and then they call the number, and then, of course, Ben and his group start asking questions and meet with them and, make the determination of what works well, where they fit.
And then Ben would call me and say, hey, I have, a mom and 2 kids. This is their time frame. Sometimes they're in a stable living. Like the first one we did, it was a mom and 5 kids. So they were stable, they were safe. So we had and it was a lot. It was 3 units. So we had a little more time. Sometimes it's pretty quick, like we really like to get mom and kids in here within 2 weeks. So I get then Ben would call me and say, hey, can you do this?
Do you take care of military widows, or does the government do that?
We're not involved in outreach. I don't have any programs where we help widows of veterans, not that I know of. Okay. Another place where we serve, which most of you might know, is East Elementary in Littleton, and that predated me working in outreach, and it's a great program. They're a great school. We do weekend nutrition bags for them. We have a mentoring program. We go in and we're mentors there. We volunteer with Homework Club. In the past, they've been, it's been a really popular Big Serve project that's coming up. And for those of you who know that, the reason we're not going back this year is because this is their next year, 22-23 will be their last year on that campus. So we thought, instead of putting all this time and resources and then they're leaving, they're going to combine, I believe, with Moody. That's why we're not going in this year, but we're loving on them really well this year and next year. We did spring break food boxes for them. I'm trying to think what else. Tutoring, yeah. Mentoring. Wanda's on that. Wanda helps with the weekend food
Hi, Wanda.
program. And that is going to look a little bit different next year. talks have begun. I started meeting with East last week just to make it accessible to more families. We're thinking about doing a food pantry. I would prefer to call it a market where parents could come after they drop off there's a parking lot behind where they could come in. I saw this space and they can shop and maybe expand that a little bit and have fresh fruits and meats and dairy, get some refrigeration in there. And so hopefully that's what the food program will transition into that next year instead of just the weekends. And that way kids don't have to put these bags in their backpacks and carry them home, and parents can think of what they need for meals and instead of just what we're bringing them. So.
So is East Elementary closing?
It is.
Where are those children going?
I believe it's Moody Elementary. Moody,
Okay.
I don't really know. I work Douglas County, so I really don't know, but I'm pretty sure they're combining enrollments down. So that's.
Yeah,
that's what they're
Littleton
talking
is,
about.
is doing that. There's 3 or 4 schools.
Is
that
it?
are
See-
combined. Yeah.
So I used to do the homework after
Oh,
school thing.
okay.
So will there be that opportunity coming up for us then?
It's open. If you would like to sign up for that now, just.
No, but I mean, once East closes.
I would assume so. I don't know. And I have trying to get as much information as I can. The liaison that I work with at East currently, I've asked her, are you gonna go over to Moody? And she's like, I hope so. They just don't even know. I think there's still a lot of
Okay,
stuff up
yeah.
in the air,
Yeah.
but they are closing.
Do you know what they're going to do with the campus?
Actually, I think it's going to turn into a community center.
To a what?
A community center. And that is really exciting for me as well, because if we do get a pantry going, and that does in fact become a community center, then our St. Andrews reaches even further there. We could, hopefully keep the pantry there, and it would serve not just families that have kids in school, but it could serve, just anybody. I mean, this is just thinking meetings for that will be start over the summer, and hopefully that's what it will be, but that's the plan. That's the plan as of now.
That's exciting.
It is exciting. I agree. That would be
This church
great.
has experience building shelves for groceries. This
That's-
church has built shelves for groceries at the Denver City Parish,
Oh,
and
yes,
they are still in use, and
that's great. That's great. Okay, so we have Joshua Station, East Elementary, Family Promise. That has looked a lot different in the last couple of years, just because they haven't been through the rotation model. It serves homeless families. Usually how it goes is they go from church to church, on a 1-week rotation. Previously, that's how it's worked. And churches all around the Denver metro area, the pandemic, and through grants, donors, they were given hotel vouchers. So how St. Andrew helped with that was we did meals and food and supplies and stuff. Quarters, you might have seen a request for quarters so they could do their laundry at the hotels. They are now starting to rotate again through churches. And our first rotation is coming up. It'll be the end of May, and that will look different. They're going to stay here for 2 weeks
Oh,
instead of 1 week. They found that it's just so disruptive for families and kids. They live here for 5 days and they pack it, and so 2 weeks was better for the families.
and they stay overnight.
They do.
We have volunteers
We
that
do.
sleep
Mhm.
here and stay overnight.
And
give
meals.
haircuts, Meals and
Meals,
haircuts.
Transportation.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So where do the kids go to school? There.
I know, and that's part of the, and they have to be out by 7. That's Family Promises rule. So throughout the Denver metro area.
So they get transported? to
Yes,
school?
mhm.
Oh,
And that would be the host church's job to get them there.
wow. You would
and-
think with the online schooling nowadays.
Yeah.
that could
They could, yeah.
implement.
But we're hosting in the summer because I just thought that is so hard to get them where they need to be. And it's so hard to share space with it when we have preschool. And so summer months is where we're gonna try it and see. That's what I had requested, and it worked for youth and children's and music. So we won't have to take them to school. So where they will go is the day site. Family Promise has a day site where they go and have help with, transportation to jobs, and kids can go and play, and they receive, lunches and stuff there at the day site. And then they'll come back here in the evenings, and like Steve said, they stay the night. We have hosts. We have signups for dinner where families can come and bring dinner to the families. Haircuts, I didn't know about haircuts. I think we've been known to take a mama to the hospital to deliver a baby. We're just here for like, whatever they need, just to love on these families as they, yes.
How many families are we talking about at a time?
And I'm not sure how many we're gonna get on our rotation, but I think up to 5, we could have up to 5 families here, I believe.
And what's the adults do during the day?
Work,
Also, and
Mhm.
they would be
Yes.
taking them to their job.
yes. And then if if you don't work, then you go to the day site. And I think they have all sorts of programmings at their day site for mom and kids. They are out of the buildings during the day.
That's still downtown.
It is. And from what I hear, they are looking to move as well. I don't know that that site's gonna be there much longer, as you know, real estate is at a prime, and there's lots of changes going on there.
Are the families encouraged to attend Sunday school and our worship services?
I don't believe so. I don't believe so.
A good idea.
That is a great idea.
If you're on the weekend.
Did you bring it in?
Sure, here's a
So,
thought.
so we did Family Promise in Indiana when I was on staff at a fairly large church. And on Sunday morning, it's the same thing. They have to be out
They
in
do.
a way because they realize that the church buildings are using all these things. So unless they came back, and some of these families do have automobiles.
Some do,
don't,
yes.
Some do.
Mhm.
Then they can come back to service if they wanted.
And I know that we have asked Family Promise, that is not our rule. I mean, we're not like, okay, you're out by 7. That is just the rotation model that Family Promise has set up. I know that we have asked them back for come and see events and youth kickoff events, and they have participated. They've been able to participate in those sorts of things. But I really like that question. Thank you. I'm gonna ask.
And I think Sunday is the transition
It
day.
is.
Yeah.
Yep. Mhm. They will come and set up beds and make our big spaces into bedrooms and turn our Sunday school classes into bedrooms. On Sunday, usually like right at noon. Like you'll see a U-Haul if you're around when our next rotation comes up. And it all just travels in a van, and we set up, and we've got great volunteers who make
Keith
beds.
Michael's truck
I know.
would arrive here about 6:30 and we would be all set up by 7:30.
We don't do that. The stuff is rolled in, yes, they drop off, but not setup doesn't happen until after Sunday school because they use the space. That B1, but especially that big room. But yeah, it is early. They drop it all off. It just breaks my heart that everything they have is just.
Colorado Coalition of Homeless.
Yep. So this has looked really different through the pandemic. I don't know a ton about CCH, just because there wasn't a lot of ways for us to dig in and serve. Through the pandemic, we donated funds. We did a backpack drive for their kids. Something that we are going to partner with them, probably you'll hear something in May or June, is they're opening a new Renaissance Legacy Loft. And that will be a 98 unit housing for homeless. And then they also will have, I don't know exactly what they're calling it, I didn't jot it down, but respite care for like when people who are chronically homeless, they have visits to the hospital, then they're discharged, they go back out on the street. I mean, it's just this vicious cycle. They can't get well. So they have a facility where they can recoup and get better, and then they'll transition them out. The Renaissance Legacy Lofts, they're gonna need help furnishing. So we're gonna do probably a soft goods drive for them. So pillows, blankets, towels, those types of things. And then we will serve by setting these units up sometime in July. That's how we're helping with CCH. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yes.
I didn't, you were You referred to they. I didn't hear what the they.
Colorado Coalition for the Homeless.
Oh.
Mhm. Sorry, I'm kind of rambling. This is not one of my favorite things to do. I see everybody looking, and y'all are so friendly and nice, and I know most of you, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. So those are the ways and the people that we dive in fairly deep with. We have relationships with them. We know their staff really well. We meet the people they serve. But that doesn't mean we don't do other things. We also were involved with the Safe Outdoor Spaces through the pandemic. We really dove in with them. Our grill team went up and served a meal to them. We've done Sunday lunches for them. We've helped them get through some of the colder weather by really whatever they need, sleeping bags, hats, all those sorts of things. But food and, surge protect, whatever they need, they just would call ice melt. So we've really dove in and served with those folks as well. Urban Peak is another one that we've kind of been in and out of. So when I first started helping, they weren't allowing anybody in. So we would just donate funds and items that the kids would need. And does everybody know what Urban?
No, what is Urban?
So it is for youth. It is for homeless youth. Correct. But then they opened back up, so we started serving again. We would go and serve breakfast and dinners. We'd sign up twice a month. Then they pulled back again, so we stepped out and went back to donating. They are now back to accepting volunteers, and so if you're interested in making and serving meals for some of our homeless youth, be looking for the sign up for that on our webpage. It's a great way to serve. It's close. It's easy. They love having us there. It's part of Big Serve this year too, if you're interested in that as well. And then of course after, yes.
We used to have a tradition here with Urban Peak that any church dinners where there was anything left over, we would take it to Urban Peak.
Yep.
And it was my privilege to do that a lot of times, and it was more fun.
It is.
Taking food down there is a little bit like going through running the gauntlet, because these kids are kind of like vultures. Ready to dive into the food, and some of the food we were taking down was just wonderful. And the kids are going, "What do you got? What do you got?"
Mhm.
It was really
And Jim,
fun.
we still do that.
Okay.
We do. In fact, were any of you at prime time on Saturday? So like they were the first call because there was a lot left over. And so yeah, we still are involved with them. And it is fun. It is a nice way to serve, and they're so appreciative, and just having an adult there that can chat and just love them and accept them where they're at is really powerful. It really is. Oh gosh, I could get there.
Just
Like,
south of Mississippi,
I was gonna
one
say
block
Santa
west
Fe.
of Broadway.
Yeah. So close.
Not
It's not too far.
Mississippi, Iowa. Iowa is the only street that goes underneath the railroad tracks
Mhm.
when you're going from Broadway to Santa Fe.
Yeah, so not too far, not too terribly far. And then of course, after hours, which came out of St. Andrew. They meet downtown. I don't even know. They serve at the Coffee Network, bars primarily.
The bar ministry is
Yeah.
the way I think of it.
Yeah, same. So, and that's another one that's been, the gyms are back. If you've seen them packing lunches. We used to go and serve every Sunday at Civic Park, but that's been closed. And so right now they're just kind of taking their wagon and handing out the sack lunches every Sunday wherever they can find the people that need them the most.
Yeah, they said they go around looking
Mhm.
for the tent cities. And so you go in alleys and things, and
Mhm.
that's how they find the homeless now. They're living in the tents and they give them food. And
Yeah.
So that's the peanut butter.
that's the peanut
That's-
butter
yeah.
sandwiches
Mhm.
that the
And they-
guys are doing in our hall.
And they've been doing it for years. It is. Mhm, that's done through after hours, yes. I'm trying to think. So food pantries, we're still giving food, and we're averaging about now that we're like through the holidays and stuff, we always got a bunch more through that time, but about 600 pounds of food a month we donate. And we send that to IFCS, and we partner with Epworth United Methodist Church in Denver. They have a food pantry. Those are the primary two that we donate to. And then we also pull from the donations for East Elementary. We just kind of share and divvy up between those three. I don't want to, yes.
Steve, a few years back, we had a clergy person who had that ministry after us. Is he still on board?
Jerry
Jerry
Herships,
Herships.
a lot of us know, he used to do the after hours in the bars.
Yes, right.
He's a former bartender and
Yes.
minister, and he got assigned to Aspen, Colorado
Up in Aspen.
Methodist Church.
Yeah.
And somebody else took
Okay,
over.
thank you.
So, but if you enjoy the bar scene and want to
Yeah.
to that, it's still going.
It is, and
Yes.
Logan is amazing.
Logan.
Yes, that's the new pastor that's down there now. Mhm.
So you do have a pastor designated.
Correct,
Oh,
yes,
okay.
yeah. Mhm.
Well, Jerry and Cindy Bates used to attend bar.
Yeah.
And and then on Sunday mornings, they would conduct services.
I don't want to leave out Steve's great group that he's leading.
Oh,
That's a new group that we started probably in October.
mhm.
The Afghan, yeah, the refugee
Afghan
assistance.
refugee.
Mhm. And I'll just let him take over.
No.
He's doing a great job. So we have one family now that we picked up through
Yes.
IRC, but I think organically, it is really, we might have some more. People are hearing about us. I got another email last week about what we're doing. Mhm.
Good. Great. Well, we've got 18 volunteers on our committee, and we take the family to medical appointments and get their driver's license. And the father just got a job as a dishwasher at DIA. And so we're helping them with all those kinds of things. They are illiterate in English and even in their own language from Afghanistan because they were ill people. The father was in the Afghan military and was targeted for death by the Taliban, so he had to get out. And it's been really interesting, enjoyable
It has been.
to help this family try to get settled in America and start learning English and get a job and all that. So if anybody's interested, we still have more need for that.
I stopped there and took him to an eye appointment, but I was so impressed with the Lois Jean, and I don't remember who else was with her, but they take the kids, the younger kids, or 5 kids, and they take
5 kids, yes.
they take the younger kids to the library for story time. They have them learn to understand English. They're working on mom, I think.
Mhm.
So, I mean,
Yes.
if anybody likes that kind of stuff, please, it's a lovely family.
What we're supposed to be doing, we're supposed to be welcoming the alien, as they say.
It might be most people that are in Ukraine.
Yes, we might have Ukrainians too, that's right. And Dr. Bob and his wife Jan have worked with a separate Afghan assistance team group, and they may now be joining us under St. Andrew. So we may have another second family that they will help organize volunteers for. So that's exciting. We're looking at that.
And these folks are totally different. This guy was an internist, internal medicine doctor in Afghanistan. His wife taught at the university. She has a PhD, and they're fluent in English. But obviously, he can't practice medicine here, so we're going to try to find him some kind of a job.
Oh, the challenges.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I just want to say through one of our contacts at Goodwill that we work with, for Joshua Station, one of the persons gave me a call and said, I was thinking about your Afghan family, and Goodwill hires people that are totally illiterate. You don't have to have
Good.
any kind of, they will just train them. And, my friend was saying right at the store here on Broadway County line, she said they have many people, it's very multicultural, many of them who don't speak English. but they all have learned a few words to be able to communicate, and they've all learned to do their jobs. And the manager of that store said, please tell your group that, you know, they're happy. I said, our people are families up in
Thank you,
Aurora,
Sean. Yeah.
but, you know, their goodwill's all over. So that's just
Great
another,
idea.
and they pay $15 an hour now.
Great idea.
Just to keep it in mind. Better than Michelle.
Okay.
Jamie, what kind of a budget do you have? Unlimited? Nothing?
Well, so what this looks like, it's kind of whatever people give. So they do give me a set budget, but it's not much because the giving is, this church is so generous. So I haven't had to worry about any kind of budget.
You don't have a line item?
What's that?
You don't have a line item in the budget?
Well, I do.
Outreach.
I do. Mhm. This is very different than any job I've ever had, because normally that is, you know, you really have to, what people just give. They just give.
I mean, we can tell you that through the sisters group, where, you know, Joy kind of got us, the reason I connected with that. And when that group of ladies heard about things that we were doing with Joshua Station, people just said, oh, what you need? And there's one lady who always gives us a toaster. Joy has contributed. Sharon has contributed. I mean, many people just like here.
Yes.
And, you know, we also got things, people say, well, I've got these towels that are really nice. Could you use those? Yes. And, you know, vacuum cleaners. I mean, we've gotten so many things donated, and they can just leave them on those shelves next to the little library area with Joshua Station. And we just check every once in a while and take them downstairs. Jamie has been wonderful about working with the church and getting us space down in the catacombs to save things, because we do the estate sales at Windcrest, which is very nice quality things that we get at really reasonable prices. And we've been fortunate enough to have a couple gentlemen from the church to help us transport. And that's probably one of our biggest needs, is people who can help us move things, because we're obviously not. And yeah, that and painting too. We have a person that contacted Jamie, a professional painter, who painted our first 2 units. And then the last one, we had, you know, friends from the church that helped us paint. And, you know, it's a big job. It's 6 different areas, but, you know, we scrub it all down and get it all painted. It looks really nice. And then just from the walls out, you know, do beds, whatever they need. If it's a crib for a baby, or if it's a youth bed or a twin bed, or, you know, as many as you need, and rugs, you know, so people have donated things.
It's
And
amazing.
it's kind of word of mouth. We have a lady that lives in the same condo complex where we each live, and she goes around, she refinishes furniture, and she'll just stop us and say, hey, I got these mirrors. I got these mirrors for free, or she picks them up from Craigslist and or next door, and she refinishes them. And I mean, people are just so wonderful and generous.
They
So
really are.
We've gotten really, really nice things. And
Men's ministry
Yeah.
knows that it costs about $2,000
It
to do
does.
a unit.
Yeah.
They just cut outreach a check for $2,000
Yeah.
for, I have, for the Afghan family, same thing. Like, it kind of just chokes me up a little bit. It really does.
Yeah. People are.
They
so nice.
are,
So
they
kind.
are, and just whatever you need. They don't want to be known, some of these folks, you know, whenever they need something, you call me. Here's your seed money for this project. It's,
Yeah.
that's, and because of that, then the budget that I get from St. Andrews is not much. Not saying that they wouldn't step in and help, but right now it's because of this church, right? We just, it's very
It's
small.
because the staff knows that that the donors are out there, that there is that
Yes.
passion, and people
Mhm.
will give.
They
So
will,
That's, I understand that's part of the reason there's not a
Mhm.
big line item.
Correct.
We got about 20 minutes left. Can we do questions?
Yeah.
Just and share what we do too. Yeah, Gene.
I was just going to say that I think in the Torah, the highest form of charity is when the giver remains anonymous. So there is something to posting your name.
Mhm.
So good. Sure.
My question was,
Joy.
how do you select who, I mean, the needs are so great. How do you select the organizations that would work? with?
That I'm finding is a little bit, as people get to know that I'm in outreach, that's been a little tricky. am currently, we're currently serving projects that have been here that predate me. And what I'm looking for is where projects and organizations where we can dive in and serve deep, not just donate money, not just give goods, where we can build relationship and community with these people. So that's, makes sense.
So you're looking to expand?
Yes.
Years ago, we used to have like 90
Too many.
agencies, too many that we were too scattered trying to serve. And so years ago, 2 years ago, we reduced those to
Yes.
focus better.
They'd like to keep it at 5, where we really dive deep. So,
That makes sense.
yeah.
What do you all do? I want to throw that out there and ask you, do you do anything that really pleases you with these 5 groups or others that are not even connected to St. Andrew, that is service that you really enjoy and want to share? Tell us about that.
I'll talk again.
Okay. You're so shy, Joy.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm
Speak up.
involved with the senior rebate program of, well, this is Arapahoe County, where you donate hours to the school, and then the county pays you $5 and something for that, which goes toward your property tax. So if you, I think the max is 71, 72 hours, which equates to over $500.
Wow. That's
So-
just in Arapahoe.
Well, I know it's in other counties also. I don't know exactly which ones, but
What's the name of it?
it's a senior rebate program.
Who else? Anything different that you really enjoy? Jim?
The Denver Intercity Parish has been a partner agency with St. Andrew for many, many years. It fell on hard times about 4 years ago when, because of low enrollment and some other, and actually because of the politics in Denver, they relocated a lot of homeless people away from their campus. So they closed their school and they relocated some of their projects over to their other campus. So when they closed their school, they lost a lot of interest. A lot of people thought that the parish was going to close. Their executive director resigned, and they had a hard time finding a replacement. Anyway, they went through a big reorganization, and I think the rumor was that the parish was going to close. It did not, and it is reinventing itself. They're doing a lot of very original things. They have always had a food pantry, but they're finding, they found, especially during the pandemic, they found that the problem was with people that needed to use it is that they had a hard time getting there. So they got volunteers to start moving food to people that needed it, and that has mushroomed. So that they are putting out, they're feeding over 1,000 people a month.
Wow. So is it like Meals on Wheels, taking food to the people?
But they have to sign up, and it's only a one-time thing. They have to sign up. They have to keep signing up.
Okay.
And I don't
Thank you.
know exactly understand all the bureaucratic parts of it. But I know that they're really doing another thing. Another thing they're doing is they're getting a truck. That's a pretty sizable truck. And we're talking about figuring out how to build shelves in there so that we could take a grocery store to people. And they will fill it up and then park it, and then people in that neighborhood can come over and.
A mobile grocery store.
Mobile
No,
grocery
it's-
store. So that, they're
That's a neat idea.
trying with that. The other thing that they're doing is working on nutrition. They're finding that an awful lot of poor people have very, very poor nutrition because poor folk food is normally cheaper. I mean, food with low nutrition is normally cheaper and it's easier to provide people. And they don't cook. So
Thank you.
that, the Denver Underserved Parish is very alive and growing.
City Parish, okay. Zoomers, Susan and Wanda, can you hear us okay? Can you hear our speakers?
Yep.
Good. Okay, would you like to share anything about what you do for service? Not to put you on the spot too much, but want to offer opportunity. Or any
Sure.
questions you've got for Jamie?
Wanda, do you want to go first?
Well, I'm just helping with East Elementary because Levon asked me to come help her because she had volunteered to do that. So that's the East Elementary part that I do. I would be interested, Susan, in what you do there.
Sure.
Canada.
So, yeah, so 5 years ago, when Canada really opened up the doors for the Syrian refugees, I joined a group of women. There were 8 of us total. And we sponsored a private sponsorship of a family of 6. So 4 kids and 2 parents. And our family was well educated, but did not speak English. So had to go through the process of learning English. But the dad was trained in a profession and he's gotten a job and has since been promoted. And the kids are doing well in school and everybody is at a level 5 or above in language, which 7 is the top in Canada, and they came in at about a 1. So everybody has done very well. And now with this wave of Afghani refugees, there's a group that's assembled, some of the same women and others that are looking at bringing in about 30 Afghans. But now with the Ukrainian crisis, it seems like we go from crisis to crisis. Canada, ironically, has the 3rd largest population of Ukrainians following Russia and Ukraine. So there's huge activity going on here with the Ukrainian community. So, yeah, I mean, Canada is built on immigrants. So we have a much higher threshold for bringing in people. I think, it's 500 or 750,000 people a year. I mean, it's a lot of people, but we have a lot of space and we need people. The country's built on immigrants. So it's a much different ethic and culturally, part of even high school, to graduate from high school, people have to do a certain number of volunteer hours. So it's really built into the culture.
The kids have to do a certain number of volunteer hours in high school?
Yeah, to graduate.
Yeah, we should do that in America.
We do.
Well,
They do.
We do in some high schools here. Wonderful.
My granddaughter does it, yeah.
Sharon said her granddaughter does it. Wonderful. Thank you, Susan. Thanks for sharing.
Yes,
Very
for
good.
hours. Oh, yeah.
We got about 10 minutes left. I have a million questions I'd like to ask Jamie too, but you guys jump into, for example, do you see the same people volunteering over and over? And how do we get the new people interested? How do we, is it a personal invite? Is that the most effective thing?
I think that is.
Yeah.
I do see the same people, but it's a lot of people. We started thinking about volunteer appreciation, just, I guess years ago, it used to be different ministry areas would do their own volunteer appreciation. And so they were thinking how many people. I, last week, could write down names just without looking, over 150 volunteers for St. Andrew.
Great.
So, and I do think personal ask is the best. I think knowing what's going on and what outreach has going on, what do we need, outside of just saying it from the pulpit, which we have to share with so many other ministry areas, of course. So what's coming up next in the next probably, I'm going to give myself a little bit longer, 6 weeks, I'll say. I'd like to do it sooner. I'm going to push out an outreach newsletter. I'm just gonna do it once a month. But hopefully I can get more interest and more people plugged in, because people like to serve. I mean, this congregation is really service oriented. So hopefully that will help. That answers any questions.
Could you talk a little bit about this? Everybody knows we're new, fairly new, so this big, at the end of April.
Big Serve.
Yeah, so how's that work? How do you sign up? What do you do? All that kind of stuff.
So this is the 7th year. This is my first year doing a Big Serve, because last year it was just parks because everything was closed. It's just an annual day of service. We have 40 different opportunities, from picking up your parks, if you're still not comfortable or you want to serve by picking up trash and tidying up your parks, all the way to cooking meals, organizing for Project Cure, organizing medical supplies that will go out. Gosh, there's so many. So we do it once a year. The goal is to get 800 people serving on the same day. And you can sign up by chatting with me, going online. We have brochures out. Everything is also online. One thing we added this year was every organization we're partnering with for Big Serve, we have a little blurb about what they are, what they're about, and a video, and that's all online. If we have had them in-house here, it will be an in-house video of people talking about what that project means to them. If not, we've just pulled it from their website, but it's all in one spot. And then our catalog is online as well.
Thank you.
Yeah,
The videos are a neat thing.
they kind of are cool, right? That's something new this year. I really liked that idea. Yeah, yeah.
I don't want to monopolize this, but you asked that question about what you could do to publicize outreach. And one of the things that we talked about, about 8 or 9 years ago, when Jerry Dwyer was still here, was to emphasize the outreach depot. I don't know if anybody have noticed that the outreach depot is at the center of this church. It connects the spiritual aspect of the fellowship in the fellowship hall, the education wings, all of the things center in that right where the outreach depot is. And if there, I think, Jamie, you've done a great job. For a long time, the outreach depot was looking pretty messy, but it looks great now. It really looks great. And I think people are very impressed by seeing this. But when there's a lot of excitement around the outreach depot, and we were talking about doing, putting signs up and desks and everything, but we never got any further than that.
Where is this depot?
I'll show you. It's right next to, do you know where the fellowship hall's at? So if you're leaving and you're walking past the fellowship hall, it's right to the left. It's got shelves of food, there's backpacks,
It's right
there's.
across from
I've
the
seen
wall.
Yeah.
food lined up. On
Yes,
side. So that's
it's
the
right,
outreach depot.
that's the outreach depot, yeah. And we are working like on changing some things, pulling in some new things. I've just been in this role since September, so we're working on that. I think it would be really nice to have information about what's going on and stuff right next to the outreach depot. I couldn't agree more. So that we're working on that as well, getting something up that could draw people's attention to ways they could serve, because there's always opportunities to serve. I can plug you in anywhere. It's just finding what fills your heart, right? What fills your bucket. You're not going to want to do it unless you're blessed as well. So just reach out.
The one thing that we talked about just after the new sanctuary opened, there was a problem that people noticed, that people were coming out of worship and escaping immediately. They were out the door. And if there was any way that we could try to get people to come down to coffee, then they were walking right past the outreach. But they knew what was going on, and there was other things going on. So if there's any way that during worship, is there any way to encourage people to go to coffee, and they're going to be walking right past the outreach?
There was a good group in coffee today.
Jamie,
Yes.
Mary and I, was there dinner one Sunday evening at Urban Peak. You might want to elaborate just briefly a bit more about Urban Peak. It's a very sobering commentary. The population of these runaway young people, numbers of them come from affluent backgrounds in the suburbs, and they're street people. And it's just very sobering. It's very sobering to see the estrangement. So, I mean, a little more elaboration. You're doing a wonderful job. Thank you. A little bit, you care to share a little bit about yourself before you came to St. Andrews as to what you did?
Before I came to
Yes,
St.
yes,
Andrews.
just curious. What part of the country or what?
Missouri.
Oh,
I'm from, not real southeast Missouri, southeast, just directly south of St. Louis.
Okay.
I grew up there, went to college there. Most of my brothers and my dad still live there. And let's see, what did I do before? I worked at Life Care Center of Littleton before I came to work here. I took a break from nursing, raised my kids. I have 4 kids. My oldest is getting ready to graduate from Greeley, UNC Greeley, next month. And then my baby is 9. So we have got a big span. And then I've got one in high school and then one in 8th grade. My husband comes from a Catholic background. I was born and raised in a Baptist home. So we kind of had to find what our fit was. And as soon as we stepped foot in, when we church shopped, as soon as we stepped foot in St. Andrew, it was under Harvey. He was the pastor at the time. And we both looked at each other and was like, this is our home. This is where we fit. And this is where we've been ever since. Yeah, of course. We're really involved in sports. I'm trying to think what else about me. All of our kids play some sort of ball, if not more than one type of ball. You can probably tell by my face that I was on the soccer field yesterday. It was very windy and at the end of the day, very warm, and I forgot my sunscreen. Yeah. What else? Yeah, of course. Yeah. And I really fell into this position. I was so happy in children's. I loved working with kids. And my director, Rhonda, I don't know if any of you have met her, the director of children's, we would still meet weekly. And as we were coming out of the pandemic, she said, or had asked the question, there has to be some good, what good has come out of this slower time and time at home. And for me, it was being able to worship with my family. And I had not done that in 7 years because we worked on Sunday, and which was fine. Like I had no problem. I loved it. I loved coming in, but that was my takeaway. And then when they said, oh gosh, we could still use your help, I was like, oh, I'm so happy down there. So it was kind of a struggle to take this leap. And what a leap it's been. It's been great. It's been really great. I'm really happy to serve you all, and I'm really happy to help people find something that makes them happy and give back to folks. It's been really good.
Well, we're out of time. Thank you so much for giving us your time
Yes,
today.
of course.
It's great to get to know you.
Yeah.
Hear what you're doing. See you all next week. Have a good holy week.
Thank you, bye.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Okay, that's right, that's right. Easter next week. See you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.
Nice seeing you.
Bye, Wanda.
See you around.